Hey guys, how's it going? So, as you can see, we finally made it back to my desk. Took a while to get here, and it's not fully clean, but it's as clean as it's gonna get. Anyway, today we're gonna be talking about the Sachs covered bridge. So, but before I jump into it, this is Down the Rabbit Hole where we talk about history, paranormal activity, weird history, people of history, American folklore, urban legends, stuff like that. Just anything we could just go down the rabbit hole and discuss. I'm so excited too because I have been focusing a lot of my energy on this podcast. I finally was able to get some more podcast episodes done for my True Crime Lounge that I haven't been able to in a while. So I've been trying to get this podcast some time to get caught up with episodes and everything. But please bear with me. I do work two jobs. I'm getting over a cold, and my grandma passed a few weeks ago, so I'm going through the process of that, and not really going to deal with the emotions of that. I think we all get where I'm going with it. But today we're going to talk about briefly about something about the Sachs covered bridge. And if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe. We are almost halfway to my target subscribers view that I want to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. And everything. It's end of September. I know we can get there, guys. Come on now. We have 3 months going on, 2 months to go. Um, but I know we can get there. Come on, guys. And but what is the Sachs covered bridge? Well, as the Civil War is one of my favorite topics to talk about next to World War II. But of the things associated most with the Civil War is the haunted Sachs Cover Bridge, which is on another long list of haunted structures found in Pennsylvania. It was used by the Confederate and Union forces during the Battle of Gettysburg, and the Sachs Bridge served as an execution site for at least three Confederates, providing the backdrop for otherworldly activity said to have taken place there. So, what about building the bridge? Well, it was built in 1852 by David S. Stoner, and the Sachs-covered bridge extends 100 feet and serves to connect to the land separately by Gettysburg Marsh Creek. For more than a century, it has allowed vehicles and pedestrians to access to travel. However, due to the weakening abundance over the decade, the beautiful historic landmark was closed to all automobiles by 1968, and almost 30 years later, flooding caused the bridge to be shaken from its foundation. Um, Requiring over $500,000 to fully restore the steel beam support. So, while certainly more structurally sound than ever, it is today open to foot traffic throughout the years. The township officials are considering reopening the bridge for vehicular use, but each time the bridge's preservations outweighed any change in operation. So, what do we know about the battles of Gettysburg? Well, we know when it broke out in July 1863, the town was turned upside down in the brutality of permitted treatment of the land. And since the vast majority of the Union and Confederate soldiers were young men, there were instances when they saw some of them attempt to abandon their post and go into hiding. One such involved three Confederate troops who tried to evade the war by donning Union attire. Marching with the North near Sachs Cover Bridge, they were soon discovered as belonging to the Confederates and were promptly made an example by. It is argued as whether or not they were spies, deserters, or outright traitors. Regardless, the three Union men were hung by the bridge's wooden support beams, ensuring that the Confederates passing through would see the executed men, thereby serving as a warning. Sadly, this is the only tip of proverbial iceberg when it came to the harrowing accounts um, that took place during the infamous battle. And as part of the Civil War, it saw tens of thousands of lives lost in the line of duty. Largely considered to be the bloodiest of any infighting to ever take place on American soil, much of the Gettysburg much of Gettysburg has become haunted with all things war. Homes, businesses, and even schools was taken over by military forces to function as a makeshift hospitals and command headquarters. Now civilians spring into action to assist attending to wounded as bullets sprayed in each direction. Now, It was a trying time to say the least, but the body count started to rise when it seemed to be in innumerable heights, and the makeshift centers was overcrowded with both dead and the injured. And it is because of this that Pennsylvania is known as one of the most haunted places in the world. So, what about the end of the bloodshed? Well, fortunately, for the overall outcome of the Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg served as the ultimate turning point due to a series of events leading up to Gettysburg. The Confederate Colonel, Robert E. Lee, found himself with a greatly decreased army, and he waited for the Union counterattack, supposedly coming his way on the 4th of July. But that never came. Outnumbered and outgunned, Lee withdrew what few soldiers he had and left and admitted defeat to the Union General George Meade. Now, the Union was victorious in the battle, and the war was nearly over. Now, many would later criticize Meade for sparing the lives of Lee and his remaining troops, as he decided not to pursue any further fighting. Meade's um, experience would also better. The light was flickering on and off, and it was bugging me. Sorry. Um, but anyway, Meade's experience would also prove to that doing so had little effect. The Confederacy was already defeated, and the additional killing would have been grossly unnecessary. At the juncture of the war, both Union and Confederate forces had already lost nearly 50,000 lives, and the General Meade had seen enough, and the North would go on to rejoice their bittersweet victory, while the South would mourn, and their hopes of a foreign recognition would be forever gone. Now, crushed by his defeat, Colonel Lee um, would try resigning from command, but the Confederate President Jefferson Davis would not allow it, as he had confidence in the colonel, and the President was correct in his assumptions. Lee would go on to claim victories in many more battles. Now, what about the foreboding words? Well, with the Union victorious, President Lincoln would go on to deliver one of the nation's greatest speeches with the iconic Gettysburg Address. And here we would, and here this is where he would redirect the tragedy of the Union, and that is now aimed at finding liberty and equality among people. And the final words of his speech foreshadowed the haunting words that would later pervade Gettysburg. In Gettysburg, the brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or distract. The world will little know, not long remember, but what we say here. But it will never forget what they did here. It is for us, living rather than dedicated, here to unfinished work in which they used the fault that had thus been nobly advanced. Now, these are some many words from Mr. Lincoln, and it would appear that the dead took the well to heart, for it seems that they will forever inhabit the lands of Gettysburg. So, how does this happen to do with the hauntings at Sachs Cover Bridge? Well, as many ghostly activities occur here at this bridge, it has garnered the attention of many popular paranormal investigator and television shows. Now, while many of the haunted locations throughout Gettysburg get plenty of attention, the Sachs Cover Bridge has become an icon and a hotspot for otherworldly sightings and paranormal encounters. Its captivating beauty further draws out outsiders to experience its mysterious charm. In the daylight, the bridge is a truly a picturesque scene with stunning streams of water and elegant wooden construction. Once under the cover at night, however, the atmosphere quickly changed to a rather frightening setting. Many witnesses have come forward to report the sightings of three disembodied heads floating in the river under a dim moonlight. Their pictures have captured what would be ghostly apparitions of three Confederate soldiers. The strong scent of cigarette smoke have been detected by guests, and as if a soldier or general from years ago still patrols the area. Visitors have also been rattled by the tap of a shoulder only to find no one is with them. And the sound of a distant gunfire is to be heard at the bridge at night, and this could easily be attributed to someone hunting in the nearby woods. But those same gunshots are often accompanied by cannon fire. So, throughout Gettysburg, tourists and lovers of the paranormal will find many locations that saturate their curiosities, but none quite as astonishing as the Sachs Covered Bridge. Its beauty and only matchless terror now is preserved for nearly 200 years, crossing the stands of the historical reminder of the life during the 19th century. But for the many brave soldiers who used it during the Battle of Gettysburg. So, is there anybody here who has had any paranormal activity? I am very curious. Let me know in the comments. But y'all have a great day. And join me next time as we talk about the Candy Lady. And yes, it does should go on my True Crime Lounge podcast, but we're putting it here on Down the Rabbit Hole.